Johannesburg, a world-class African city, the economic hub of the country, also the African continent. Up until recently, Gauteng has been at the epicenter of the virus, but has now been overtaken by the Western Cape province. The man in charge of the city's coffers, the MMC of finance in the city of Johannesburg, Jolly D. Matongo, details the deployment of funds received.
Currently, we have already spent about 70 million rand in terms of purchasing your masks, gloves, sanitizers, providing the basics in the shelters that we have. We have already received 342 million rand from the National Department of Human Settlements. We have already identified about 800 million that we will not be able to spend as it relates to the salary bill. So we'll be redirecting some of that money to deal with issues of food security, providing people with the basics such as masks and gloves and sanitizers.
With corruption and maladministration being an ongoing concern at the local authority level, Matongo says systems have been put in place to deal with the issue.
There is a compliance team that has been put together so that before we procure anything, that procurement goes through the compliance team so that we look at what is to be procured. Are we procuring within the regulations as set out by National Treasury? So those systems are in place and they are working very well.
In ensuring that public accountability exists when dealing with funds, there are calls for transparency.
The first is that procurement is particularly is rife for or is a fruitful space for corruption and maladministration of public funds. And so having more eyes, having greater transparency and having greater ability to monitor how funds and so on are used can only improve the context. Secondly, it means that information about what is happening, when it's happening, and what people can expect at any given point is provided on an ongoing basis, and that civic actors and others can relay that information to communities who may well not know what is coming and what to expect, particularly in the context of vulnerability and desperation.
The manner in which local government will spend these COVID-19 funds that are allocated to them will determine whether they will be able to gain back the confidence of their communities or further contribute to the pain and suffering inflicted by the pandemic. Natasha Piri, SABC News, Johannesburg.